Half a century ago, the company that would pioneer the concept of multidisciplinary and integrated engineering service under one organization was born. It was a physical birth, but prior to this was a spiritual awakening that inspired the company's founders. It all started with the construction of the UP Chapel of the Holy Sacrifice, whose engineers were talented UP academicians. During this era, university professors received traditionally low salaries. Jose Segovia said then that you cannot live on love and loyalty alone, especially with a growing family to look after. As Lamberto Onocampo once put it, the engineer professor was likened to a ditch digger who had to sweat it out just to keep body and soul together. He also admitted the low pay of professors in the UP made it imperative for engineers who were teaching to look for side jobs and practice their professions in private.
50 years ago, a group of faculty members at the university decided to embark on going into professional practice. All the organizers of DCCD at that time were teaching courses at the UP College of Engineering, getting paid peanuts and not enough income. We also wanted to prove the old saying that those who know dash, those who does not teaches. We felt our own knowledge of engineering may be able to help the country further. So we asked permission from the university authorities to allow us to engage in professional practice to prove to the world that although we are teaching, we also know what we are doing.
With the construction of the sacred edifice became a confirmation in a sense, the spiritual push that encouraged these academicians, who were MA and PhD degree holders, to come down from their traditional ivory towers and deal with the realistic world of commerce and industry.
When I came back from the United States from my studies abroad, I was a very eager young engineer, willing to do anything under the sun so as to put my stamp on the engineering profession. You know that most of us have been teaching in the University of the Philippines, I for one, from the Department of Civil Engineering. And I was fortunate enough to be instructor at that time. And when most of us became a little restless about just being able to teach without anything else, some elder members of the faculty, particularly Professor Vinyo, broached the idea of forming a consulting firm. We welcomed this almost immediately, although we had to bring in other engineers like the mechanical engineers, electrical engineers and so forth, in order to put up a good conglomerate of consulting engineers. And to tell you the truth, and I want to say it outrightly and publicly, I didn't have any money to put in as part of my shares. It was Dean Vinyo who lent me exactly 200 pesos in order to put up at least a token share of my participation in this company. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. Otherwise, I would be here.
Many of our friends used to comment that the professors of UP were good in theory, that what we knew were all book knowledge, because we lacked practical experience. We felt that perhaps we should do something about that. Acknowledge the fact that really practical experience can help and make us better teachers. At that time, UP paid a very low salary, and we all had growing families. So we had to think of ways and means to earn more money, to keep body and soul together. And in that way, we can stay in UP. Otherwise, we may be forced to resign and devote our time to our private practice. After all, we felt that family is very important in our life. And so, that was the very basis of why we started DCCD.
On July 22, 1957, these men pioneered the first integrated engineering consultancy services in the country, and DCCD Engineering Corporation was born. Its first home was at 320 Quezon Boulevard Extension, which used to be mistaken for a barber shop or beauty parlor. DCCD Engineering Corporation became a pioneer in the engineering consulting business. Its initials, which stands for Design, Consultation, Construction Management, and Development, reverberate with symmetry and rhythm. It encapsulates the concept of multidisciplinary and integrated engineering service under one organization. Its first employees included 4 draftsmen, 4 engineers, 6 senior engineers, 1 receptionist who was simultaneously a stenotypist, an accounting clerk, and 1 janitor part-time. DCCD's first project is linked inevitably with the construction of the UP Chapel of the Holy Sacrifice. When Fernando Zobel de Ayala was commissioned to render the church's mural paintings, he was impressed with the competence of the construction team. Thus, when the Zobels later embarked on developing Makati as a prime business district, they tapped the same engineers who established DCCD. DCCD would work on some of the first construction entities in Makati, including the master plan of the Ayala subdivision sewage system. Eventually, it was able to complete about 80% of the buildings along Ayala Avenue in its first decade of operations. With a growing number of employees, DCCD transferred to the 3rd floor of the Everlast department store, also along Quezon Boulevard. It was the biggest office held by any consulting firm at that time. The company's growth rate was triggered not only by the number of projects, but also by the increase of its scope of services and the size of its projects. The firm's 3rd home was in Makati, at the 8th floor of the Insular Life building. By then, thanks to DCCD's pioneering efforts, the image of the engineer as project consultants had finally been acknowledged. Fire engulfed the Insular Life building in July 1971, reducing to ashes all DCCD office equipment and documents accumulated over a decade. It recuperated for a brief while on the 1st floor of the China Bank building. 2 years later, DCCD has finally settled in its permanent home at Swal Building along Amarsola Street in Makati City, organizing 2 more divisions that will expand the company's scope and specializations further.
My memorable moment with DCCD was the time when I was doing the structural design for 3 hotels at the same time. That was in the late 70s for the IMF conference, where there was a rush of hotels. architect Formoso was designing the Manila Peninsula, the Dusit Hotel now, and the Heritage Rojas Boulevard. It so happened that they all had a deadline to finish in time for the IMF conference. But the time given was very, very limited. We had to rush the design and at the same time start construction. There was a time when we had to practically draw the plans right at the site itself in order to keep up with the contractor. So at that time, I was still teaching in the UP full-time. So I spent in the mornings in UP, rushed to DCCD in the afternoons, went around the hotels in the evenings, back to teaching in the mornings, and practically did not sleep for about a year. That was very, very hectic.
To tell you the truth, I welcome the idea of being able to practice civil engineering and at the same time teach this practice and whatever I learned from the outside to my students at the University of the Philippines. One particular instance which I'd like to mention is that I enjoyed my toying with Dean Huinyo as we looked at some of the projects that DCCD had decided at the time. And Dean Huinyo will point out to me, for instance, this is something, take a look at this and so forth and so on. And I learned that way. So I really appreciated that. And also did the same thing to my former students, who are now, of course, engineers, and also taught them the same way, practice as well as theory. This practice outside also made me a better professor. We wanted to show the world that we are the first consulting firm in the country. At this stage of my career, I am confident that I'm leaving this corporation, this beloved corporation, into good hands. But as far as I'm concerned, I'm happy that the second generation is taking over. And so we wish everybody here good luck. And we'll still be around, don't worry. The two Berts, Ocampo and Reyes, we will still be around for some time, so don't kick us out yet. Good night.
DCCD has since achieved numerous corporate milestones, but the true manifestations of its success lay in the innumerable projects around the country. From high-rise buildings, industrial plants, human settlements, resorts, institutional, residential and commercial complexes, and industrial estates including water supply, specialized water and wastewater treatment systems, sewerage, drainage and flood control systems, irrigation, power generation, communications as well as highways, railways, bridges, ports, airports, electrification, and other similar infrastructure development projects. Today, DCCD is among the top 7,000 corporations in the Philippines, heading towards globalization with projects in the Middle East and other parts of the world, joining forces and forming alliances with its colleagues in the engineering consulting industry. Guided by its corporate philosophy, vision for advancement, mission of nation building and quality policy, DCCD continues with the tradition of engineering excellence that it is known for.